Greetings, it is I. Yes, today we are doing another Dalek Reads. This time we are looking at part 4. Apparently this has something to do with someone named Charlotte for some reason. I don't know what it is, but let us observe it now. Dalek of Shadows. Story 4. The sad story of Charlotte. Charlotte Ashley. What a stupid name. Always dreaming about herself dying. And yet, she's only 15. Over the summer, Charlotte's dad was offered a 1-year teaching job in Saudi Arabia. Charlotte chose to move into her grandfather's big, strange Victorian house for the year. Since her grandpa was a collector, the house is filled with all sorts of random junk at school. Charlotte is bullied for being an idiot's daughter in her room. She goes on her laptop and looks up famous poems about death and writes her own. Charlotte thinks of Death as a handsome, black-cloaked stranger who will free her from the boredom and misery of everyday life. Winter break is just a week away. The whole school is decorated in the cafeteria. Charlotte is shocked when a new kid asks to sit with her. And even more shocked, she starts joking with him. His name was William, and he recently moved from Ohio. William notices she's reading The Fall of the House of Ohio, and they bond over Edgar Allan Poe. William compliments her, and they bond over her earrings, causing her to blush and smile. At dinner, Charlotte admits that she met someone new at school. Her grandfather is happy for her and begins to reminisce about his wife. Charlotte compares it to Annabel Lee, and her grandpa tells her that Poe wrote about death because he had lost so many he knew. Charlotte thinks about William and her grandma's death. It must have affected her grandpa, and begins to view Annabel Lee as a poem about love. The next day, William gives Charlotte The Call of Cthulhu and other stories, since she hasn't read anything by H.P. Lovecraft. After dinner, Charlotte looks up love poems, finding one by Elizabeth Barrett Browning called How Do I Love Thee? Then she writes her own love poem. On Saturday afternoon, Charlotte goes to the public library and comes across William again. He picks out The Lottery and Other Stories by Shirley Jackson for Charlotte, and two sit together. He then takes her to Starbucks, and Charlotte reveals that she wants to be a librarian, which William is supportive of. One day, her grandfather offers to take her to the school holiday bazaar. Charlotte decides to go. Since the two of them don't go out much, after eating vegetarian chili and some cookies, Charlotte finds William in the second floor hallway selling candy cane reindeer Christmas ornaments with another girl holding his hand and laughing together. She runs away crying, ignores her grandpa as he tries to comfort her on the drive home. The next day, William sits next to Charlotte, like normal the next day. William doesn't get why she's upset over him and the other girl being a couple, but then he realizes that Charlotte thought they were dating. He apologized, never wanting her to think of him as anything more than a friend. And Charlotte calls his girlfriend blonde and basic, having never talked to her. William, of course, gets upset, calling Charlotte a hypocrite and ending the conversation. He begins to sit at a different table, leaving Charlotte alone. A day before winter break, she tells her grandfather that she's not celebrating Christmas. He tells her that Christmas is about family, and bringing up that her aunt, uncle, and cousins are coming over for Christmas Eve. Her parents will be on Skype. They get into a fight. Charlotte storms to her room to listen to her favourite singer, Taylor Swift. Charlotte begins to feel cold, but doesn't want to return inside. So she goes to her grandpa's workshop to sit by the little space heater. Among the weird junk is a big mechanical damaged machine with a claw and a Gatling gun, and dingy grey and mint green colours. Who else would it be than Dalek Giratina? Oh no. The Dalek appeared to be almost destroyed. It was withered, completely covered in mud, and had cracks everywhere on it. Charlotte hears her cousins playing outside and doesn't want them to find her, so she crawls into the Dalek's open casing and shutting the door behind her. Why, if it isn't Charlotte Ashley? A deep, booming voice said in the darkness. It was hard to tell exactly where it was coming from, but it felt like it was all around her. Who are you? Charlotte demanded. Where are you? Above her, a huge blue eye stalk rolled backward, looking down into the chamber. I'm right here, Charlotte. Or maybe I should say you're right here. You're right inside of my casing, I guess you could say. So, you're supposed to be, a machine? Like, that harms humans? Charlotte wonders if she had fallen asleep after she climbed into the old machine. If she was dreaming, this was all too weird. You can think of me as a friend. Your friend till the end. We have to decide if the end is gonna be slow or quick. I don't understand. Charlotte was confused. The space starting to feel claustrophobic. Cease talking, but in any way, Charlotte. The inferior human, I'm going to make your dreams come true. It's not a question of if, but how. Giratina sounded almost unhinged. What was happening? She was definitely awake. Had lost her mind, descended into madness, like a character in Edgar Allan Poe's stories. I'd like to get out now. Her voice sounded small and shaky. Nonsense, Giratina said. You're going to stay here all nice and cozy while we work out how you're going to have your dream date with death. The choice is yours, but it'll be my pleasure to present you some options. Options on how to die exactly. The Dalek in the darkness said. You're catching on now. I'd like to call the first couple of options the lazy choices. They don't require me to do anything but keep you here. Let nature take its course, and the advantage to these, they are easy peasy for me, but not so much for you. Slow, with lots of stuttering, but who knows, that might appeal to your morbid sensibilities. Lots of opportunities, languishing. You like languishing? What do you mean? Charlotte asked. Whatever the answer was, she knew she wasn't going to like it. Dehydration is one option. ocean, no water at all. You should start dying in as few as 3 days, or as many as 7. You're young and healthy, of course, but I doubt you would survive. Depriving the body of water has interesting effects, with no fluids coming into the filter and flush. The kidneys shut down, and your body starts poisoning itself, making you sicker and sicker. Once those poisons have time to build up, you can suffer total organ failure. But that's death for you. Superiority of the Daleks, Giratina said. You're making fun of me. Charlotte was scared, but that's not all. Why am I here to make your wishes come true? Giratina wasn't sane. Starvation is another classic, but that's really slow moving as a process. It takes weeks for the human body to use up its stores of nutrition and break down and its proteins and turn off itself. It can take weeks. Some inferior people have even lasted a couple of months. Charlotte knew her grandpa would rescue her before she could starve to death. That'll never work. Grandpa comes in here to put her around after dinner every night. He'll find me. Oh, really? Charlotte, explain. He'll hear me inside your casing. I'll scream. Scream all you want, inferior humanoid. It is soundproof. No one will hear you, and anyway, after a few days you will be too weak to scream. I don't understand. Why do you want to kill me? Charlotte asked. Interesting. There are a couple of reasons, actually. First, quite simply, it has something to do with I sat in an alleyway for ages before your grandpa found me and brought me here. Giratina responded. Aren't there other things you can find to do besides killing? Like, I don't know, take over the world? Charlotte asked. Not so interesting. And plus, the second reason, which is that death is what you want. I hear all that moaning and telling how much you want to die. Well, I like to annihilate people, and you wish to die, Giratina replied. But I don't want to die, not really, Charlotte replied. Everything was silent. Then Dalek Giratina's claw snapped and clanked over and over. Oh, Charlotte. For someone who doesn't want to die, you sure spent a lot of time talking about it. The Daleks surrounding her said, "But that's the way of things, isn't it? Talk is easier than action, I think," Charlotte said, sniffling. "Then that's when I said I wanted to die. What I wanted was to escape. I didn't want death. I just wanted my life to be different." Giratina took no notice. "Oh, that really takes action, doesn't it?" Giratina said. "Changing a life for the better, especially when the world is such a mean and rotten place. It's much easier and ultimately much more satisfying to just snuff it out. Which brings me to my second set of options. Much more interesting. These are quick and easy for the most part, but they require a little more effort for me. I'm not complaining though, there's nothing I like more than a good challenge to relieve my boredom. Say, you like vampires, don't you?" Charlotte could barely find her voice to answer. "Why?" "Now that I have you inside my casing, I know you are a real Dracula fan. The kids at school call you Dracula's daughter, don't they? Well, what you might not know is that the character of a specific vampire, let's say Dracula, he is inspired by a real person, Vlad Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler. He killed thousands of his enemies, but crowning achievements involve the Forest of the Impaled, where thousands of his victims, men, women, and children alike, were skewered through stakes, driven into the ground. Now I'm no prince, but I can't aspire to that level of achievement. But one little impaling can't be that hard, can it? I just take my claw and drive it through my casing, and it'll go straight through you and out the other end. If it goes through your vital organs, death comes quickly. If it doesn't, there can be some hours of bleeding and suffering. The people who walked through the Forest of the Impaled talked about moaning and gasping of victims, so impaling one might say other deaths impaled in comparison. Giratina's tone was creepy. It can work quickly or slowly, but the result is the same at the end. Okay, that's gonna be it, because I have discovered it's a little bit long. trying to get through all of it, but it's good nonetheless. Anyway, thank you, Giratina. I'll credit your story in the description. Anyway, see you all in the next video then. Farewell! Thanks all for the enjoyable video today. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Dalek Empire, or you will be exterminated. There will be no resistance. I am the God of all